Hello! Thank you for tuning into this week's reads. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them, of course. That being said, for the main part of the read, I'm using Gilded Tarot Royale by Chiro Marchetti. And the text is by Barbara Moore. If you need to freeze frame to see the spelling, I understand, definitely. I knew the website a minute ago, and my brain said, forget that information. I want to say it's llewellyn.com. Here, I'll just show it to you. It's there at the bottom, I just can't read it at the moment. So hopefully it's focusing on camera. If we get a little closer, it gives you some social media links too, so feel free to check that out. I want to say it's Llewellyn, I could be wrong. Oracle cards, Spellcasting Oracle cards by Flavia, Barbara, and Lisbeth. That's how you spell their names. Website on the back that I always notice is shewhoisart.com. Feel free to check that out if you would like to. I think there's a couple other ones on there too, so I'll move it up so you can see anything you want to see. And I use dice. I use a 22-sided dice for the major arcana. I substitute 22 for 0 for the Fool. And then I have a 14-sided dice for the minor arcana and a 4-sided dice to choose the element to match up with the minor arcana. They're from here, the math, I think it's mathartfun.com. Hopefully you can see that website if you want to. I think it's mathartfun.com. Alright. That being said, if you would like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and let's get into your reading. Hello, Taurus. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. Any more of these cards? Yeah. Okay. These readings are valid for when you come to them. What do we have for Taurus? Like, the energy just popping out all over the place. I'm like, it's throwing me off. I'm like, why are we doing that? This is Taurus. We're neat. We're orderly. What's going on? Really? Okay. So, something has to be addressed. Definitely. So, we need the truth. We need the truth. In this situation, boundaries, closure, what was the last one I got? Strength. A lot coming out with this situation. This one, there's hidden elements that need to come forward. Hidden elements that you have not been planning for because they were hidden. So you didn't know they were there. The situation has been going for a while, a long while, and I feel like it hasn't been the most attractive situation, but it is what it is, and as I've been going forward, I just accepted, okay, this is a part of it, I'll deal with this way, I like this is good, we're going to try to make this more. That's going to be there, so I'm just going to accept it and keep moving because I got to make this work out and can't get rid of it. It just reminds me of like having a large piece of land, and like there's certain parts of the land, like maybe there's ground bees and maybe there's a little pond over here, and there's just certain issues, like some of it's good, some of it's not, and it's kind of like I have X amount of finances, so there's only so much I'm going to do with this land, and I maneuver it the best I can, right? So I make it the best I can. Okay, this is fine. You've been planning and dealing with it for quite a while is what I'm also getting. So this next part, this is where we start flipping the cards. Judgment comes in the 5 of Pentacles. I feel like the way this starts is like, it's almost like somebody's telling me, or I'm getting I'm getting something where it's almost like I'm looking at a piece of this land, for example, and I'm starting to notice like nothing grows over there. Nothing grows over there, and I'm not sure what's going on. And then I'm noticing that most of the time I don't even see animals over in that one spot. We're just gonna say. So it's just like I'm starting to notice like something isn't right. Something isn't right there. Something that's been hidden, something that's been underground, is now starting to be more apparent. Maybe it's a larger piece of land, and I just rarely have gone over there. I didn't realize that was an issue over there. There's only so much I can do. I'm only one person, right? And nobody said anything to me, or if they did, it didn't give me the impression that it was that big of a deal. So judgment is coming in. There's only so much I can do with it. And I'm already feeling like, all right, well, let me see what it is, because I just got to find out what it is so I can learn what I need to do with it. Or if I need to, like, do we just not go over there? Should I put up a fence around it so people just stay away from it? Like, what's the problem? There's a lot of information coming in. People are trying to fix this problem. There's random fixes, Band-Aid fixes. Band-Aid fixes I don't think most people are a fan of. So like a Band-Aid fix, for example, if you got a scrape or a scrape or a small cut, all right, a Band-Aid is good enough. It just needs to be taken care of long enough so it can go back to the way it normally works. That's almost like somebody calling out for a week at a job and then just like getting people just to do extra work and doing overtime to make up for it. That person will come back, things will go back to the way it was. That's a Band-Aid fix. Okay, that's fine. This is more like two people quit, and it's kind of like this is a job that requires 5 people to be done correctly. We only had 4 people to begin with, and now 2 of those people have quit. So now we only have 2 people doing a 5-person job. Trying to do a Band-Aid fix where let's just work overtime. Everybody will just work overtime. That's how we'll keep up with it. We can't do that forever. Or at least people aren't going to be happy doing that forever. So there's this energy of like people trying to come together, making some Band-Aid fixes, trying to heal it. And it's like the Four of Swords is like there's healing here, but it's like the way it's doing it, it's not stable healing. There's a lot of community effort to get this to work out. When the truth comes forward, trying to get it to work out, but like we need to have a long-term plan. We need to kind of start looking at this like, all right, we can use the Band-Aid fix for now, but this is almost like somebody getting picked up by an ambulance. Kind of like, all right, this will work for now. Until we get to the hospital, we can put them together this way so they don't bleed out or whatever. So we can hold them together, keep them stable till we get to the hospital. Then at the hospital, they'll do the actual healing so that this can go back and be correct. And it's kind of like we're doing the ambulance part, but we're not going anywhere. We're just pulling it together so we're okay for now and saying, okay, this is how we'll live. This is not good. You're going to need... I shouldn't say it that way. For this to go better, it's better if you take the lead. I don't like the idea of you need to do it. I just feel like that doesn't sound right. This goes better if you take the lead. It keeps coming through my brain like you need to. So I'm wondering if other people are pushing that towards you, like, well, it's on you, Taurus, you're going to need to fix this. And I don't feel like I like that. I don't feel like that's fair. But at the same time, you notice I am saying for this to go better, you taking the lead, it does go better. I do feel like people are waiting for you to make the long-term plan. Taurus is good with plans, but there's something about this that just does not sit right with me. I just feel like something doesn't sit right with me with that. Like, why are they looking to... I almost feel like it's, for example, if I worked at a business, and say you're a worker on a team of 15 people, and your manager is telling you you're the one that has to fix this. It's kind of like, I don't get paid to fix this, bud. You do. So how about you fix it? That's kind of how I feel like. Somebody's telling you need to fix something, and it's kind of like, isn't that your job, manager, to do that? But it's also like if we don't want the tower to fall, you're the one that would do it. Correct. You're the one that could save this situation. It's almost like they're like, we know this is your strength, Taurus, to do this and put things together and create a plan that makes sense, that can last the test of time. So we need you to do this for this actually to rectify. I know it bothers me that somebody is pushing this towards you, because I feel like that's not right. But I also get that at the same time, you are the one who can do it. You got the Magician card here. So that's really throwing me off, because I keep thinking like, I feel like people are expecting something for you, and I'm like, this isn't right. But at the same time, yes, you are the one that could do it. So it's like, it's correct. You are the one who could do it. You're the one you're the one who could sort this out and make this hold water. But it's like a oxymoron. It's kind of like, yeah, you could do it, but it really isn't your responsibility. But at the same time, yeah, you're the one who can make it happen. So I keep getting that back and forth. So maybe that makes better sense on your side. What this reading is hitting, of course. You can't even do all the pieces. You can just like tell people what you're seeing here and tell them how you would stabilize it. I don't even feel like you have, for example, like if it was an ambulance thing, maybe you're if you're an EMT or something, you could do just so much, and then you're like, I can get you this far, but I can't perform open heart surgery, so I can tell you that clearly it looks like that needs to happen, and that we should get a heart surgeon, but I can't perform that procedure. I can't do that for you. It's kind of like, it's one of those things too. It's like you can only go so far. This is a weird situation. I feel like if this situation is going to hit for you, there's a lot of people that like you, a lot of people that you get along with, but I feel like they have unrealistic expectations on what you can do. Like, the best thing I can say is that EMT thing. EMTs, great as like getting people together, getting them to the hospital, helping them live till they get to the hospital, but they're not open heart surgeons. They're not brain surgeons. They have a certain skill set for that moment, and they can get you where they need to, so you can get to hand you off to somebody else who can do the next part. But they're not the end all be all of like the medical situation. And I feel like this is how people are treating you. Like, oh, Taurus, you can fix everything. You know, walk on water. It's great. You know, I have some water here. Can you make it wine if you just have a second? I mean, why not? It's kind of how it feels, and it's kind of like, no, that's not reality. But I also feel like, all right, I'm trying to pull it together, because somebody has to have their somebody has to have their feet on the ground. So I feel like you're trying to move this forward, and you're trying to keep it in realistic realistic motion, realistic one after the other. You're trying to build this in a sane way, and it's kind of like, I feel like I have a lot of people around me who just have out of this world expectations. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, if I'm going to use that same analogy, these people also would be like, oh wow, their heart stopped beating a half an hour ago. Let's try CPR and see if we can bring them back. It's kind of like, it's really unlikely. I feel like it's I don't know, after somebody's been out and no CPR after half an hour, I feel like done is done. But I don't know. But I feel like this unrealistic expectations, like bringing somebody back after their body functions have stopped for half an hour, very unrealistic in my opinion. So what they're saying to do with this is like, you can handle a lot of stress, true, but it's kind of like, all right, give people tasks and make them search down their own answers. Because I feel like if you try to control it in that sense, where you're trying to find this answer, find that answer, trying to pull it all together, I feel like you're going to be very minimally effective. There's too much going on in this situation. It seems to make sense where, you know, you'd like to have control of it all. This almost feels like if you go this way, it's the micromanage way, and I just feel like the situation is not going to make it. For this situation to have a chance, it's not really... See, this is why this is stress. This is stress with success. You're not going to like this way of this going, but for this situation to have success, you're going to have to delegate. All right, I can just do this. You people, you're going to have to find, like for example, if you're the EMT, like, all right, I'm going to call you dispatch. You need to call the appropriate people and tell them that this is what I have, and let them make the decisions on who they need to call next. I can only do so much. It's like I have to delineate, like, okay, I'll, get this person. This person's going to drive the ambulance, so I can trust them, so I can look over the patient. You drive, I'll look over the patient, so you're going to do that part. I can't drive and take care of the patient. So, and I can't drive, take care of the patient, and call the appropriate people to be ready at the hospital when we get there to take this person to the next step. So somebody else is going to have to do that. So now we have me, the driver, and somebody doing that, and then we're going to have to keep delineating out. I don't see this as something you like to do, but I feel like this is the only way this is going to have a chance for success. That's the only way justice is going to come in. This is a messy situation. It definitely is a messy situation. Is the situation going to have its best outcome? There's only so much you can do. I feel like a best outcome is unrealistic for what's going on. So, like, if somebody had the moment to see this a year before it was going to happen and was able to see all the pieces that were going to go into play, I'm sure they could see a best case scenario. I'm sure they could do that. But when you're in the middle of it, like, for example, I'm using the medical thing for a reason. When somebody's hurt and they're bleeding and they got broken bones, and you just got to pull them together, get them to the hospital, and get the appropriate people in, you just do what you can in the moment. You do what you can in the moment. You don't have the luxury of going, all right, well, we got this and that. We got these 5 other things. We could choose for all these things, and we can do this, and that could have went here, and this could have went there. You don't have that luxury. Like, that's unrealistic. Like, doing your best in the moment is the best that could happen. There's things here with this situation that are going to go really wrong. They just are because there's a lot of people connected. And I feel like one of the things they're going to be scrutinized is like you delegated to somebody, and other people are going to be like, well, why did you choose that person? And you're just going to have to. You're going to be hard pressed to remember why. They're going to be like, well, there was 3 people available, and you chose that one. You chose that one to drive, and they have like 5 tickets, 5 reckless driving tickets. Why did you choose that one? At the moment, the reason you might have chose that one is because that person was ready to go, and the other 2 people, or however many people, were busy doing this, busy doing that, and you needed to go right then. You couldn't wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes for one of these other people to be ready. This person could have lost their life in that time. So you're like, the reason in the moment you probably chose that person was because they were the ones who could do it. They were ready. They were just like, they could go. Somebody else might be like, well, you could have had them switch out. It was in the moment. It was in the moment. You can't do everything for everybody. Your focus was on your job, what you were doing, not, playing coordinator for a driver. And it's kind of like remembering that. It's hard to remember those things. Like, in the moment, it needed to happen now. It was a good chance we were going to lose this person, so we had to go. We had to go now. They were there. They were just standing there. Get in the car. We're going. Let's just go. The luxury to make those decisions like that was not there. I just feel like it wasn't there. A lot of information probably was also missing. Somebody could say, well, there was these 3 people. You chose the one with the worst driving record. You might not have even had known these other 2 people were actually on the scene. You might not have even known. And you might not realize that you didn't know at the time. You just saw this person. You looked at them. You saw them. You're like, you could do it. Get in the car. We're going. Let's go. And that was that. There's a lot of this with this. This one's a little brutal. I mean, I'm not a Sunshine Rainbows reader, but it does work out in the end. Whatever this situation is, it's about realistic expectations. I think of Taurus as very, very, very realistic. Realizing that there's a lot of things here that when they happened in the moment, you can't go back and look at them. I don't feel like in this situation, I don't think there was 5 cameras recording every little thing you did. Mind you, your thoughts and everybody else's thoughts. All the possibilities. Like, there's no way to really look back at that moment and see all the pieces. There's how you felt about it. It's what you remember. It's what other people remember. Looking back on whatever the situation is, also adding in. Some people remember through feeling, not as much in fact. So like, people remember how they felt, and sometimes memories kind of like fill in blanks based on how they felt, not what actually happened. People don't intentionally lie, but I feel like people were very upset and very scared, and they remember something worse than it was because it validates how they felt. It doesn't mean anybody's saying something incorrect purposely, because I feel like people see that, like, when you have something recorded on camera and somebody says, this is what I experienced, this is how it felt for me, and they're telling how the whole story went, and they totally feel like that's how it went, and then they watch the scene play back, and they're just like, that's not how I remember that going. I thought that this was going on. I thought that was happening. And they have the base of it down, but there's all these other little pieces. They're like, that's not how I remember it happening. So it's going back and looking back to realize that, the truth might not be very attainable later, and not letting people use it against you when a lot of them just remember through how they felt, not how it actually happened. And especially if you were there and they weren't, that makes it a whole nother level of like concern. I do feel like people might be trying to understand and criticize the situation and try to make it better because they want to make changes and they want things to go better. That's not bad. I wouldn't say that was bad to like look back at the situation and kind of like, how could have we been better prepared? That's one thing. To scrutinize how somebody handled it in the moment when they did the best they could, that's different. Because like, unless you did something malicious, which I'm willing to say you probably didn't. Like, if somebody does something maliciously, that's its own ball of wax. But I'm not getting that with this reading. It's a general read, I know, but I'm not getting like you made any decision maliciously. It's remembering that. Looking back and like, kind of deciding, well, we could have been better prepared if we had this. We could have been better prepared if we had this at the time. Not in the sense of like blaming Taurus, but in the sense of like, okay, what do you think, Taurus? If this was available to you, would this have gone easier? If this was available to you, or maybe you would even be like, well, if we already had these people in place where I just had to call one number or let somebody know, like, this is what we need to do, and somebody else could have handled that, maybe that would have gone better. Like, so it's like looking back on it and like critiquing it in the sense of like, if we had these things in place and we made these things like more standard to have these things in place for people going forward, would the situation have gone better? I don't like the idea of picking apart somebody's performance. I like more of like, if this person had all these other things available to them, they would have been set up for better success. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense with that. Because it's kind of like going to school. It's kind of like somebody, like it's like handing somebody a sheet of paper and a small little excerpt with a little pamphlet of like how to do a math problem, and kind of like, well, here you go, you know, make a cosine or whatever, make some complicated math problem here. And they only have this limited amount of information, kind of saying, well, if we had tutorials, if we had access to the internet, if we had somebody teaching them, if we had the proper tools for, you know, people to, like, if they had a pencil instead of a pen where they could write it out, erase what didn't make sense instead of just ripping it up and starting over, if we had a proper amount of place to write it down, this could have gone better. It's kind of like what we had when we went into it this time. We had very limited tools, very limited supplies. If we expand that and give better supplies, better tools, this type of situation could go better. Looking at it in that sense is good. Not looking at it in like, you know, if Taurus, you know, if you had brought your cape in and worn that shirt with the big S on it and jumped that building in a single bound, this could have been great, you know, but you didn't, so that's your fault. Because I feel like that's how this is coming off. And it's like, we don't want to go that route. Like, you know, you didn't bring your shirt with the S on it, so this didn't work out as good as it could. It's unrealistic, that's the point. Looking at the situation, how could we set it up better so that there's better supplies for you to have the ability to do better? You know, not scrutinizing you, but scrutinizing how the situation was run all over, you know, in totality. I hope that makes sense. I think I'm beating it to death, so I'm going to leave it alone here. Hopefully that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.